knew something wasn't right because I was worrying a lot more and more. And like I guess it was strange because like you haven't experienced that before in your life, and like you wonder what's wrong with you, you know.
I honestly didn't know what was happening to me. It was the worst thing I'd ever gone through.
You feel like you're not normal, and that you're not, you know, why am I feeling like this?
He would either sit up in bed or wake me and say, I'm going, I'm going, I'm going. Tell the children I love them. This was that pure panic, dread that something dreadful was about to happen.
When you've got anxiety, you just don't want to face reality, really. It just gets too much and you can't handle it.
And you're frightened about being in a crowd somewhere where it's going to happen because you know a lot of the time you haven't been able to control it.
Well, I'd get my panic attacks, although I didn't realise that's what they were at the time. Just always frightened. It was like a constant horror movie.
In retrospect, I can now see that I had anxiety attacks virtually all of my life.
I think the cause of the anxiety for me was probably a traumatic experience in my life and maybe suppressing a lot of the things that had happened to me and not dealing with the issue there and then, and it all sort of coming more back out.
My situation stems from depression with the breakup of a marriage, which was about 4 years ago. I think I started having what turned out to be anxiety attacks probably 12, 13 months after that.
Bullying took a big part in my life because not being accepted and people calling you names, and you just think, hang on, what's wrong with me? What do I do wrong? You look at every single thing.
Lunchtime I walked up Swanson Street, near the intersection of Burke Street, and bang, this anxiety attack came on. I can remember putting my arms around a power pole or something, and I saw a workmate walking up the street. I said, God's sake, I'll get a bloody ambulance.
When I do get stressed and can't cope, I just tense up and I can feel myself doing that. I didn't at the time realise that that's what it was, and of course the more it would start, the worse it would get. But yeah, it would just cause my stomach to spasm and I'd end up with diarrhoea, and it was just ongoing.
I've probably always had like a low self-esteem as well, and it probably coincides with it. And yeah, so I guess that's another factor that comes into it. Or sometimes I feel like that's like the underlying problem.
The job I do as a bed and breakfast proprietor is pretty simple. I always tell people I could probably train a monkey to do what I do in less than a week. You know, it's simply I get up in the morning, I set tables up. I only have to cook breakfast for 6 people. I don't have a dining room full of hundreds of people. I cook breakfast, I clean up, and they go and do their thing and I do mine. So having done this nearly 6 days a week for 7 years, getting up in the morning and throwing up and having absolute fear of having to do what I'd been doing for the last 7 years, it was driving me crazy. I was just like, why am I feeling like this?
You realise from an early stage what sort of things trigger your anxiety. Well, for me, it's being around a lot of people or having like a lot of attention placed on me.
Looking up at the sky, I'm going to the beach, I'm thinking about space. The thought of space freaks me out. In fact, how are we here? And the fact that I never know that, I will never know that probably, really makes me anxious, and it feels like I'm not real.
Nervousness, shaky, which I'm probably presenting now, sweats, hot and sweaty, headaches, a lot of nausea, that type of thing, tiredness, achy.
Sometimes I'd just wake up in the middle of the night and I'd get this intense fear and my heart would race, but it was never because of anything. It was just there.
Owning my own business, I rely very heavily on my phone and on the internet. The phone would ring and I would sit there and look at it because I knew if I answered the phone, I may have to write a confirmation, and I couldn't write. My handwriting was just all over the place. I couldn't even read it.
It takes over your life. It stops you from doing things you want to be able to do. You want to be doing what everyone else is doing, and you feel like you can't.
It was stopping me from doing a lot of things. I wanted to do things in life, and I wasn't able to do them because I was always frightened. So, yeah, that's when I decided that, yeah, now's a good time to fix me.